Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to Sooners Intel. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-hosts, Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners 360, and somewhere here, Kchris Griffin from the Horns Down Pod is on board as well. And if you love Sooner college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Sooner Intel. Mr. Mason, sir, how are we?
We're good. We are cold, but it's all relative. I have power. You know, um,
Yeah.
you
Hey,
know,
I just got done working with Marcus Den on the show, and they are just getting power back. Not even some of their places in some of the
yeah.
places out there in uh let's see,
Nashville's
Oxford
a
still.
Nash, Nashville's a disaster. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah,
it's bad. So it's cold around here, but it's still cold where my mom's at, New Mexico here. I know it's still cold there in Norman, huh? Okay, Chris.
Yeah, it is.
Sick of this nonsense. Welcome into the show, everybody. Um, let's see. Bishop Frank, Scott Walker, T Boomer. Welcome into the show, everybody. Good to see everybody in here, except for that one. All right. Uh, what are we going to do tonight? What are we talking about tonight, Mr. Mason?
well, I thought we'd have a little. Everybody else has had their very early top 10, so I figured we'd take the brain trust of this show would have a swag at it, and then
Brain
if
trust, huh?
and then well, and then if we're going to talk about a top 10 nationally, we probably should be able to intelligently talk about a top 5 in the SEC, and then maybe talk a little new Sooner AD. See if he's got a deputy AD position lined up for K. Chris.
That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be very nice.
And
Hey,
uh, and that's our main topics. But I'm keeping an eye on Twitter right now because OU is about to get a commitment from a 2028 kid. Should be getting a commitment from Micah Rhodes coming up. He's a top running back for 2028, top 40 in the nation kind of kid. Would be a big win for DeMarco Murray.
big win for DeMarco Murray. He seems to do that. He seems to do that.
And
Yeah, Ott
recruiting.
seems to be impressing there at the Jaden Ott, just to get everybody wound up. Seems to
Jeez.
be impressive at the Senior Bowl out there. Wonder why he wasn't doing that for the Sooners this year. Sucks.
Kid's a grifter. Let's just and moving on.
He's enjoying. He's enjoying. Yeah, listen. All right, so let's take it all. Obviously, we can get started with that. First off, talk about this new Sooner AD and how you feel about it. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday on my show, and I thank you for coming on the morning show. But what are your thoughts about this move?
Well, since I'll go quickly, give Chris some runway. And you can tell obviously that the sort of the marketing, negotiating, the CBA ability to write a CBA and to be active once those changes come in college sports seem to be the main reason why I think they hired this guy. An assistant AD from Illinois. I think that kind of landed a little bit like a thud. But when you look at his legal background and the things that he's able to do, and his prior experience and his contract work, and what I think is going to be the future of where college sports needs to go, I think the hire was definitely in that direction. I thought they were going to go somewhere more in sort of a marketing guy to try and leverage more out of the Olympic sports, but he has a little bit of that background, but obviously, I think the main focus is that we need a CBA for football, and we need to make sure that we have somebody that can work on drafting that CBA and be a force in getting that CBA going. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Hey, Chris.
Um, if I just give you my general thoughts about the hire, I think it's a great hire. I think that it's on par with what OU is trying to do and where they've been trying to move toward. Well, honestly, I wouldn't even say where they've been trying to move towards what they've been doing since they hired Joe C, which is making the most progressive, most proactive hires that they possibly can. I think that this was something that when you read about his background, when you listen to him and all the rest of that stuff, you say, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is a modern day type pick." It was interesting because you didn't know if you were just going to go get a guy that was going to come in here and just kind of quote unquote be a pun for somebody like Nagy, or you're going to go get somebody who's actually going to have a real voice. And I think you would have got somebody who is going to have a real voice and is going to work with Nagy, with building what OU football will look like for the next, however long they're here. But also, I think that this is good for the rest of the sports as well. One tidbit was definitely him saying, "I don't know what we're gonna do with Porter Moser," but right now, I thought that was interesting as well.
That
But
losing streak still going on.
man, look,
It is, and the women are just playing great. So it's
The best player in the country, so that's
they
part of
got
it.
best freshman. So it's not helping, right? One of
yeah,
these things.
no,
One of these things don't look like the other.
no, with softball, with all the rest of that stuff, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I think that they found the right guy for it, especially with um, so where college football is really headed, especially from that financial standpoint, from that contractual standpoint of where college football is really headed towards. I think that I think this was a home run hire.
Yeah, yeah, and from what everything you can tell is that that's basically what it is. He's kind of bringing you up to the modern way of doing things, in certain ways. So sounds good with all that. Anything else that obviously that's been going on since the end of the season that. Well, let me ask you this, and I asked this to Mr. Mason yesterday. I want to ask you, Kchris. New Having a new AD, does that change anything as far as if Oklahoma doesn't play as well on the in the football program this year, that you would see that it would put Brent Venables in a tougher position than what you would have seen him before, right? I think it seems like he saved himself, but with new ads, a lot of times they want to make their mark, and if it's not the guy that they hired, you could be in the hot seat a little quicker. Say if you don't win and go back to the playoff.
I really don't. I think that a lot of them have bought into the vision, and I think that they understand how hard it is to sustain success.
Sure.
Thing for Venables and company is just that I think for this year, the conversation I know that I want to have with you guys again and again and again throughout this offseason is just the fact of, which I think is really, I'm sorry I'm dragging this, but it's an underlying it's something nobody's talking about. If you look at the portal additions, you say, "Hey, we got some great portal additions. I think we address some needs." But on the flip side of that, guys, BV and company are betting on a bunch of young guys to actually step up. The Nestas of the world, the Nigel Smiths, rightfully so, right? They're banking on a whole bunch of these younger guys to step up. Obviously, you saw nothing happen at you went and got the kid from Oregon. We'll see where he's going to play. Is it safety? Is it corner? Whichever one. But regardless, though, they're banking on a lot of people. You Gentry has been hurt, and I know a lot of people kind of feel they're torn on that one. I'm torn on it as well.
Yeah.
But you kind of believe that that gosh, kid from Mustang. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name, but anyway,
Jacoby
Jacoby.
Johnson.
exactly, Jacoby Johnson. You're betting on guys like that to step up in a big way next year. So, um, for me, I think
Portland
it's
to continue to grow, and same
uh,
with Eli and guys like that. Right, right. I get it.
yeah. But I mean, when you look at the schedule and you look at everything that's happened, barring injuries and all the craziness that happens throughout the spring and summer months leading up to fall camp, you feel really good about the schedule and you feel really good about where this team is at. It's just certain things have to improve. Mateer hasn't improved. Arbuckle. Everybody's got to take a look at and look at themselves in the mirror on the offensive side of the ball and let's go do what we feel like you guys
Has to be a big improvement on the offensive side, I would think. You expect the defense to stay. I don't know that you expect it to be as dominant as it was this year,
yeah
this past season, right? But you expect it to be pretty close to that, if
yeah
you know what I mean. And it could be better, but it just kind of depends on how it all turns out. But
and
you got to see some improvement. But let me ask you this though. I mean, we're going into as much as it's we keeping the status quo. You look at you like the schedule. There's a world where you could play pretty well and get out of the first week of October with 3 losses still.
yeah. No, I mean it's a possibility. It was a possibility this year. We talked
Yeah.
about it with you can't lose to Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold. You can't lose the Michigan game. We talked about how big those games were. Yeah, you went there
Yeah.
and you lost to Texas this year, but you came out on the back end and you went on a run. So I think the way it sets up is that you will, being optimistic this year should not be a problem for too many people. But to your original question, though, I
Well,
think
that's why I'm asking the question, though. I'm not saying that I expect them to do anything necessarily. I'm saying if it doesn't go your way, and let's say you finish 8-4, does that put him in a precarious position?
again, just to that point, I don't necessarily think it does because I think I think Nagy is kind of more or less the
Kind of the
influencer
decision
there
maker on that.
than the AD would be. I think the AD
Okay.
is going to have a conversation. It's going to be it's going to be set up like what most of your I hate to get into this, but like it's gonna be set up mostly kind of what your like city manager and mayor like relationship is, where the mayor is the face, but the city manager is the one behind the scenes working everything and doing everything, the daily operations of it. And I think that's kind of where we're at with Nagy. I think Nagy will be the one who um, will kind of call. I wouldn't necessarily even say call a shot, but just kind of he will have more of I think of an influence in that decision. But I think Nagy is bought in. I think Nagy understands what's at stake. But I think that they've put in the work to go and copycat what they've done this year. I just yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, 8-4. It's hard to say that just without some context, either positive or negatively, right? Like
Yeah.
that's an 8-4 that
Okay.
should
Well,
have
the
been.
context that I would add to that, you lose again to Texas.
Yeah. So that's a problem. And again, if it's an 8-4 that should have been 10-2, and that's game day stuff with Brent, and you're
Right.
like, okay, what's going on? If it's an 8-4 with injuries and you're playing great football against some really great teams, then you're like, okay, you go to Ann Arbor, you lose a close game there, and Whittington takes them to like a Big Ten title, and then you're all of a sudden like, well, okay. I mean, just what I'm saying. It's just there's some things in there, but I think you're right. It's set up for as I mentioned, Chris, I'm glad you teed that up because when I was on the show yesterday with Jason, I was mentioning that part of the portal thing is that the places OU didn't add guys because they're
I'm
expecting
going to
that.
need 2 seconds.
They're expecting that wave of next guys we've talked about, Chris, right? Like, Wyatt Gilmore, James Nesta, Amarian Robinson. Just there's a wave of defenders coming, right? That's why we didn't see so many defensive additions, I think, in the portal. It was mostly, they did add a couple of long-term guys that have some serious long-term potential. Cole Sullivan being the biggest defensive addition from the portal, but they even added some longer-term portal prospects like the Ozawalu kid who's already kind of getting some hype. You watch Gabe and Teddy's video on him, and it's hard not to be kind of psyched about what he could be with Bates. But yeah, I think it's on the defensive side of the ball to be as good as they were this year. That next wave of kids is going to have to start making some movement.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's kind of where we are. They didn't bet a lot on adding portal guys. You got Cole Sullivan at most at linebacker, who I think is going to be a big addition. But other than that, you're waiting on the next wave of guys. Like we're waiting on Trent Wilson, Nigel Smith. We're waiting on James Nesta. Tristan Haynes, with Amarian Robinson. We're waiting for kind of that next wave to give us that super deep defense that we had last year.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things where you could have 3 losses on the schedule, but at the same time, the Michigan game, you go in there and win that game. If you win by 5 or if you win by 20, it really doesn't matter because we're still not going to know exactly what type of OU team we're going to be in store for until we go to Athens next year to play Georgia. In my opinion, I think we all know
I think that's a bigger test, but I would tell you that I think that they got better with their hire that they made at Michigan.
I mean, I was about to say that I think the characteristics are there, but Jason, that they're depleted. Look, it's great that they're going to come in there and be riled up as a fan base, and they're going to come in there and they're going to play Utah football, which is just being tough. That's great, but that tough football hasn't won Whittingham a lot of games these past couple of seasons. If we're just being real, and he's had arguably very talented teams there.
We was 11-2 this year.
They went 11-2, but it was a very gaudy 11-2. It wasn't something that was just like flashy. I mean, they were there kind of by default towards the end.
I think the prevailing thought, why are they going to be good, is that you kept a lot of what they have. You kept Bryce Underwood. He's going to be getting an actual quarterback coach that people trust in, and that they should be better, and they've got more talent than what he ever had at Utah. Would be the point, right?
I think
I don't know that it's necessarily going to equate to them being a playoff team. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it's an early season test in the Big House. For sure.
No, it's an early season test, and again, the characteristics are there of what a Whittingham team is going to be. We know they're going to be somewhat disciplined, this and that, but they didn't retain a whole bunch, and it wasn't like they just went out there and actually added something that Bryce Underwood needed, which was great wide receivers. They didn't have great wide receivers this year. They didn't have they had a good running game. They're betting on, I guess, the Marshall kid because Haynes is gone. Obviously, there are some missing pieces there. There's a lot of talent that has leaked out of Michigan. My whole thing is with Michigan is again, first year in that system, new system. Bryce Underwood, we understand the talent. But when you go and you look at what this attack is going to bring to you again, and I go back and I say he brought the same offensive coordinator. I say I just watched him with Eric Dampier, who at times looked like he could not throw the football.
He can't throw the football. They had to go to the other kid.
And the whole thing is that what Bryce Underwood do we get? Do we get the Bryce Underwood that looked like a hero, that looked like Jameis Winston and others during other games outside of OU and Ohio State, or what do we get? You get what I'm saying? Because that's kind of where I'm at. His maturation process is that's really what it boils down to. Is Bryce Underwood the guy that we think that he is this coming season, or is he not? Go ahead, Chris Mason.
No, I mean, I think the Michigan game, I think Michigan's absorbed a pretty big body blow in terms of a rebuild and sort of reorganization. Catching them game 2 is probably to our benefit. The location change makes a big difference. Let's not ignore that, right? Playing at their place. It's going to be a massively hyped game. But I do think Michigan, there's a lot of chaos with what went on with them. I mean, let's not ignore it. They lost a lot of personnel. Personnel left and came back. I think that's always a little weird. It doesn't always go as well as the David Stone thing, right? It's still a little bit of some weird. I think they've got some locker room chemistry, and they've kind of got a little bit of a rebuild that going on where they may not be firing on all cylinders when we get up there, and offensively that's a scheme, as I said on the Wednesday show. That's a scheme that Brent knows how to. That's not a scheme that really worries me with a Brent returning defense, a veteran defense.
I'm not ready to just say it's an easy walkover because
no, not at all. Not with
that's all I was getting at. That's all I was getting at.
It's that's going to be a game where that's going to be a nail biter. That's a potential rock fight. Week 2. Yeah,
right,
completely right.
Okay,
You want to talk top 10?
let's do it. National top 10. Let me pull that up real quick. All right, here we got our national top 10 right here as picked by the boys of Sooner Intel. I got Georgia winning it all, man. I know both of you guys have Ohio State. I'm picking Georgia to win it all. And so I think they're starting off at number one. I like that they got Gunnar Stockton coming back. A lot of that defense coming. That was a young football team last year. They lost their best receiver, I would think, but I know that they went and they got some key pieces. They didn't add a ton in the portal, but they've continued to recruit as well as anybody. So I think that I still think Kirby Smart's the best coach in the country, and it was kind of an easy one for me. I'm picking them at number one. You guys go ahead and talk about Ohio State if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I could have easily chosen Ohio State too. Just they're. I mean, I could have UGA. I mean, it's kind of a flip flop there for me. I'm just going a little bit with Julian saying year two going to be a much more efficient quarterback, be a better quarterback, and the overall talent level at Ohio State and Georgia is probably, you can probably pick and choose what you want there. They were a little more active in the portal. Jeremiah Smith. My only concern with Ohio State is, they hired Arthur Smith, right, as their offensive coordinator. And, I don't know quite how that works. Obviously,
Wild.
The Patricia thing worked well. Can they pull that same magic on offense? And losing Hartline, what does that mean to their chemistry of their coaching staff?
That's why I don't have them in the top three.
But I that's why I have them, just because they're a loaded roster, and they added a lot of players in the portal. So maybe the ass kicking they got by Miami gets them slightly motivated. So, but I got Georgia right there with you, Jason. I think those are the. I think that's an obvious 1-2, just going off roster talent. That's where I went 1-2 for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, Kchris, anything to add to that on Ohio State? Because that's why I don't. The Arthur Smith was one of those wacky things for me, and then without Hartline, it's would be a concern in my opinion.
I want to say with Hartline's exit, a lot of the stuff that's happening or whatnot, still Ohio State. They're still going to go get guys. We understand that. What the dynamic looks like the next couple of years will be interesting, but I kind of feel like this is it. This is it. This is like the last hoorah for like those crazy teams, simply because Hartline's not there. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get all of that.
The same receiving core.
Yeah, the receiving core. I think that you hung on to the Chris Henry kids like that, but just I'm sure that Hartline's probably telling them, hey, still go to Ohio State, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. Now, I'm not saying it's the last hurrah, like they're not going to be a playoff team year in, year out or whatever. I'm just talking about like elite talent kind of at those positions, because they've obviously kind of dipped running back rise, right? I know everybody's the Bo Jackson and all the rest of this stuff, but that O-line, that's really going to be the end all be all for them, because Julian Saint is going to live. It's like the 3 ball for the Warriors. He's going to live and die by that offensive line, because we saw it in that Miami game. I'm excited to see that Texas game, simply for the fact of I don't really know if Muschamp being the defensive coordinator for Texas, I feel like they're just going to pin their ears back and try to get to the quarterback. I feel like they're going to bum rush the hell out of him, and they're going to force that offensive line to show them that they have matured and they have progressed this year. So just want to say that about Ohio State. But yeah, Georgia, I think you could put Georgia easily at number one. I differ from you guys from the Notre Dame and the Indiana. I think Indiana, great season, amazing season. I think they kind of take a step back. but they're going to have a good roster.
I got them the same as you do. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this though. I think Oregon, with Dante Moore coming back, I kind of feel like Oregon's going to be everybody's team to not necessarily put them above those other two teams that we're talking about at the top spots, but kind of what everybody's going to say is really their sleeper pick to win a national championship next year.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing that because they haven't done anything. They haven't won a big. I mean, aside from the Penn State winning the Big Ten, and then they got Ohio State at home last year in the regular season. Good for them.
Yeah,
I show me another win that matters, and when it matters. You can just talk about they won the playoff game. No shit, they played Texas Tech. I don't have them in my top 10. I won't have them in my top 10. I don't buy them. I don't care about the money they're spending because I need to see them. They weren't, to me, ready for this for the what it was to play in that game against Oregon, Texas Tech. So good for them. I don't know. I'm not seeing Oregon as high up as a lot of people do. I understand why people do. They definitely get talent, but I don't know that Dan Lanning can coach it up in the game. I think he might be another Mario Cristobal, who, by the way, I think that they screwed that one up against Indiana in the championship game.
Well, but that's really as good as Mario Cristobal can coach, though, Jason. I mean, that's. I mean, he basically he had.
When they haven't stopped you 21 rushes when they haven't stopped you running the ball. That's crazy to me.
I mean, that was Joe Flacco Super Bowl season for Mario Cristobal. I mean, it's like a no-name winning the Masters kind of thing. Mario Cristobal coaching his team into the national championship game there. So,
it was a great year for Mario. I shouldn't.
I only have Texas Tech in the top 10 because their schedule is just so crap, and they don't play Utah, and I don't think they play BYU in the regular season. So I just don't know who is going to rise up to beat them regular season in the Big 12. So it'll be again another fraudulent Texas Tech, 12-0 type season, 11-1, 12-0 type season. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were this year. The portal guys they picked up aren't as good.
Kchris Mason, are you crazy?
What?
Are you insane?
With who?
Mason, are you crazy? Are you insane? You guys are talking Big 12, y'all talking Texas Tech, and y'all not talking about the Oklahoma State Mean Green winning the national championship.
The Mean Orange. We've renamed them the Mean Orange.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not buying it.
I'm just saying.
I'm not buying, just like I'm not buying Auburn with USF North.
Or the Nittany Cyclones.
Yeah.
Or the Nittany Hokies.
Not
the Hokie Lions.
That one probably is better. Right?
That is actually probably an upgrade.
They made a big improvement for the Hope.
That might be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think if I was more confident in Dan Lanning, I might have Oregon higher. Like I might have Oregon 3 or 2, or if I believe that.
Yeah, maybe I might have them in the top 5 too, if that's the case. But I don't believe in him.
He's done some good. I mean, he was keeping Texas Tech in that game. So, but I have Indiana high just because I don't know what to do with what they did this year, and they're picking up some good personnel in the portal. I'm not a huge Josh Hoover as a Heisman guy, but I certainly wasn't saying Mendoza was a massive pickup last year. I thought he was a good pickup. So I'm giving Cignetti all of his flowers right now with that number 3 ranking, and we'll see if they come crashing back to earth in any realistic way. But again, they got a weak ass schedule, so. They're not going to, they're not playing the equivalent of a Michigan or an Ohio State in out of conference, right? They have terrible out of conference schedule is Bill Snyder from the 90s era bad. So that's why I have them there. I do think Notre Dame has a terrible schedule, right? If they can beat Miami and BYU, they should go undefeated.
They should.
If they lose both of those games, they shouldn't be in the playoffs. They
won't be in the playoffs. They won't have a win. They won't have a win that they can stand on, because SC's no longer in the picture with that.
I was
But
close to
speaking
putting.
of SC, real quick, Oregon gets USC after they play powerhouse Portland State, while SC gets to travel 3 time zones to play Rutger. Big Ten handing out gets to Oregon right and left. Cry me a river, Trojan fight. Come on, bro. You're starting to sound like Lincoln.
Sleep on the plane, man.
Good Lord.
But yeah, so I think that's kind of where they're. I have OU ahead of Texas. Just out of. I just don't. I don't like some of the things Texas did in the portal. I don't like their losses. The Muschamp, the Katowski to Muschamp transition, I think is going to bite them a little bit. I don't think they have the right personnel. I don't think they have the right personnel for this defensive change. I don't know quite why they did it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, it was, somebody was reading the stats, and it was like, offensive efficiency, Texas has dropped like 30 spots, and they're like, in the last 2 years, it's like, but you fire your defensive coordinator? So obviously, they made the big name splash for some of the.
I don't
big
think
name.
it was PK's fault. I don't think that they downgraded here. Just not for nothing. I don't think they downgraded here.
I suspect you're wrong. I think Muschamp's fastball's gone. He hasn't called because he hasn't called defense in. He hasn't called defense He hasn't been the guy on defense for about 10 years at this point. And I don't like, and I don't think he was
he was on the staff with Georgia just a couple of years back, where he may not have been calling it. He was right there in the mix of what they were doing.
But that was like
calling saying that he's lost his fastball. That's a stretch.
Maybe I'm wrong, but we haven't seen him pitch. To keep the analogy going,
I'll tell you where I kind of sit.
It's not like they're running something that that's brand new.
But Katowski's scheme though was very specific, and what Muschamp wants to run is very different.
I sit in the middle of you guys on this, literally and figuratively, simply because I do disagree with you. I agree with Jason. I don't think he's lost his fastball. I think that what he's going to come in there, he's going to be probably a lot more aggressive and probably going to try to be a lot more physical. I think the thing that scares me about Texas is that with this whole model of, hey, and don't get me wrong, I think a lot of teams are doing it the same way, which is, hey, we're not going to carry, 85, 90, scholarship players, however many or whatever the case may be. We're only going to go and get, somewhere between 60 and 70 or whatever. On the flip side of that, here's the thing. Colin Simmons is coming back. Okay, right? You lost a lot of guys that were supposed to be, in that two depth. Man, please, I know Bevo's going to get in here at some point, and I know that Benji, you my guy, respectfully. But at the same time, it feels like you guys lost a lot of talent. Now, I know what Texas fans are going to say. Oh, well, those guys weren't going to play. We don't have time to sit there and wait for them to develop and stuff. But these were people who were supposed to be in the two deep. Y'all talked about them all season, up to the point of the season, all the rest of that stuff, and it didn't happen or whatever the case may be. So, a couple of injuries away from we're in deep shit right now, simply because we don't have guys that are ready behind.
On the defensive side of the ball, you're saying?
Huh?
On the defensive side of the ball,
offensive side of the ball. Cam Coleman goes out for a couple of games, and you're back with Wingo as your one. And contrary to most belief, a lot of Texas fans are not excited about that if that were to happen. I think Wingo is in a perfect position right now simply
because
blow
up as a two. Yeah, no doubt.
He could play two. Because if I was Wingo and they weren't able to get him, I'd be really looking at Georgia saying that I probably should have transferred there, because what Branch was doing is what I should be doing, because I just don't think that he's a one. And I think a lot of Texas fans would agree with that fact. I think he's a gadget player. He's a guy that will kill you. Do not get me wrong. He's a guy that can stretch the field for here and there. But I think it's just being a true number one wide receiver. I don't see that for him. But with Texas, I think they're a talented team. I think they will put it together. Offensive line, I think that's going to be the question mark going into the season, whether they're going to be on that side of the ball. Can they keep everything together? Obviously, you got Smothers, you have Raleek Brown, but I will say this. They're smaller backs. SEC, a lot different than the Big 12 and ACC. I think they could get it done, but I will say this right here.
Whoa, whoa,
I'm
whoa, whoa.
cautiously optimistic about those teams. That's just that's my thing.
Bro, you don't get to say that about Hollywood whenever you were happy to have him come back to Oklahoma, bro. You don't get to do that.
Well, but we had Xavier Robinson in the barn, right?
I get it. I get it. I get it.
mean,
But
you know,
and in the end, I think that they looked a lot. I think that they've continued to look a lot better. I think that when you get a guy like Cam Coleman coming in there and you do get those two running backs, I don't know that they necessarily upgraded all the way around with running back. I think that they certainly
it's a push, maybe.
it may be a push, yeah, and it may be a little better just because of the fact that they were basically a one-headed monster and really not even that for a lot of the season. Now, Trey Wisner, I'm glad to see him gone as an Oklahoma guy because he was eating OU's lunch, right? But aside from that, I think that he was basically all they had, though, last year. So, they didn't have – CJ Baxter didn't really do much, right?
Everybody else was injured. I mean, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else was
they've
injured.
missed. I mean, they're hoping that the Cooper kid from Florida is their big back, right?
Yes.
But if I knew I was going to get Smothers, I wouldn't have picked up Raleek Brown. It seems to, I mean, the stuff you want Smothers to do and to make Smothers worth it, that's not a two-back that really works. That's not a two-back scheme that really works, in my opinion. Maybe you could do some two-back stuff with Raleek Brown and this Cooper kid they have that's a bigger kid, but I think offensive line-wise, OU and Texas are basically in the same boat, right?
That's what I was going to say. I think
does Flood
all things being equal, and I'm going to kind of just echo what I saw from Jenna in there a second ago. You guys and you've already heard me say this too. I'm not picking OU to beat Texas until they do it.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I'm tired of watching them not go in there and score touchdowns at the Cotton Bowl, and we're talking 3 out of 4 years that's happened. So, I think that Arch is a lot better than he was at the start. I mean, he was better by the end of the year by a lot than he was when we saw him at Cotton Bowl. I think that there could be a problem. I think that we'll have to wait and see kind of how it turns out. And I think that there's a possibility that they, underachieve as normal. I mean, shit. But again,
and everyone's going to blow them up, right? I mean, we're kind of doing them. You've put them where everybody in the country is going to put them, right? The Arch. Arch has improved, and I think that's probably I mean, yeah, is he better game 11 than he was game 5? Well, he better freaking be, right? So yeah, I mean that's right.
But I always thought that they would be better a year later than what they had them as this year, starting off at number 1. I always thought that was bullshit. I figured they were going to be better this year anyway. I don't know that I still don't believe that because I think that Arch is. I got to say, he's way better than John Mateer is right now in my mind.
Okay. Well, I think the O-line gets down to the O-line, right? Does Flood or Biedenbaugh get their unit playing, competitive SEC football?
That's a good question.
OU, they've got the Gooseby kid coming back, and some people are putting him on All-American teams, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but. Who gets their guy? Who gets Texas added some pieces to Wake Forest tackle is interesting, but they'd also lost a lot of depth pieces, and their O-line last year was like us to a certain degree, their limiting factor.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they went out and really improved it, whereas we're basically banking on Bill taking the best talent we've had on the offensive line and moving it forward. I don't think Texas is in the same boat that way.
And not getting banged up too bad because the depth is a little iffy, right?
Yeah, so I think that's where Texas. But if Texas's offensive line starts playing well, then they're gonna bank that ranking. But if it's the same thing as last year, okay, Thievery, I agree. Gooseby has that ranking. I just don't think he's that good. I don't think Arch was getting hit too much for you guys to say that you had an All-American offensive tackle. I'm not saying Mike Fasusi's an All-American tackle this year because our guys got hit too much. So I think your quarterbacks got hit way too much for you to tell me that you have an All-American offensive tackle. I know what that looks like. I know what that looks like. We know what Orlando Brown as a left tackle, an All-American left tackle, looks like. And Baker Mayfield
Oh yeah,
wasn't hit for 2 years. Guys,
No doubt.
everybody hit Arch last year all over the place. Well, I mean, okay, so he gave, if you want to give me that stats, but Arch got knocked around way too much for me to think you guys have a true All-American tackle. But maybe he'll be that this year, and maybe your O-line will be that this year. Just offering my opinion.
They're going to have the threat. I mean, they're going to have the threat downfield. I think it's just one of those things where have you as a team, as a defensive coordinator, when you're coming in there to play Texas, have you seen enough film to, one, again, take away all the cute stuff, make it through Sark's script? I always say that every year. That's really what it boils down to. Make Sark call a close game. If you make Sark do that, that's whenever, if you make him call a 4-quarter game to where he actually has to go past that script, that's whenever teams really have a lot of success against him. Right now, they have the potential to be really dangerous simply because Wingo can now be what Xavier Worthy was for them, which is just a gadget. Use him all over.
That's why I was thinking A.D. Mitchell and Worthy, right?
Mm-hmm. And then the Mosley kid could be the X factor to where he could be like that Whittington or just that third piece or whatever, who could be the two. Maybe he even exposed to be the golden, because I do see a lot of teams essentially trying to take away Cam Coleman, because that's going to be an interesting part about Cam Coleman's game as well. Not saying that he can't, but at 6'5" and the way that he runs, the way he does what he does, he's a deep threat. That guy's going deep. That guy's, getting there. Want to see what his route tree looks like. Can he really, expand that, especially in this offense here where they're going to say, yeah, you're going to go deep, but you're also going to be running a lot of deep curls. Sark loves those deep curls, those deep, he loves little bench routes, stuff like that. So they're going to use him a lot of different ways to make sure he stays open, but you're going to have a lot of stuff underneath as well. And I think that's where a Wingo could really excel. So they have the threat there. And I think that what helps Smothers and what helps Raleek, to be honest with you, is Manning's legs as well, his mobility. So I think that's a big piece. We know Sark likes to have a bell cow back or whatever the case may be. My whole thing is just that, again, when you look at the portal or whatever, they made a lot of great additions, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily the home runs that they thought they were going to get. So it's got to gel. It's got to come together. I kind of feel like this is, again, another team who's kind of having a last hurrah moment.
I was going to say, I agree. I think that they're pushing all their chips to the middle.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think that Sark is running off after this year, or this is definitely he could. Right. You've heard a lot of that kind of stuff, but I've also heard that he isn't. And I don't know that the Muschamp move signaled that he's going anywhere. It almost feels like he's pushing towards something. But I definitely think that he knows that Arch is probably on his last year. They're pushing their chips in the middle. I think that they're trying to win a national championship this year. Do I think they're going to win it? No. But I think they're going to be good, though. I do think they're going to be good. And I think they're going to – I don't really think that Ohio State showed me a whole lot. I mean, they didn't play much this year. So, let's see what they are before I go pushing them too high. That's why I have them there. I think Notre Dame's a pissed off team with a nasty O-line and a good quarterback and a good running game, and they're going to have a nice defense. I think they're nasty. I think that they could, they're going to need to definitely go like 11-1 at worst. But I think, I do think you have to do that to get in, but they're going to get in.
So my question with Notre Dame is just offensively, we know C.J. Carr, but they lost both running backs. We know the offensive line is always going to be solid. They went and got those 2 wide receivers from Ohio State, and that's all great, fine, and dandy. Running game, though, has been really their bread and butter, and that's really opened up a lot of stuff for them, because they were explosive this year, and it's mostly because they knew that they could run the ball, and they didn't have to rely on CJ Carr to be the hero, to be the superstar, right? I think going into this season, that's what I'm interested to see from Notre Dame this year. Is just the match.
They were loaded at the running back position, though.
Well, remember they've got
a lot of touches, though.
They've got Javian Osborne coming in from Texas high school great high school running back from Texas. Running backs and freshman running backs blow up all the time. Plus, they had their third string running back was pretty good. He played pretty well through the season. I think their line is as you said, their offensive line is kind of they live and die by that. Like most of the teams we're talking about, and if if their power running game is working and their running game's working, then they're dangerous again. I mean, they're dangerous again. But I'm not that worried about their backs. They've been recruiting at an elite level at running back.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think that, and they have a commitment to the run too. Similar to like what we saw from the teams that got into the championship game. They're committed to running the ball.
But y'all too, come on now. You don't just go out there and replace Jeremiah Love. Let's just be real. Like you don't go and replace those two backs.
I don't know that I agree with that. Hey, I'll tell you this: did they end up losing Aeneas Williams? They did not. That kid, when he got in,
was perfectly fine. But the kid's not.
When that kid got in, he was making plays. He just didn't get to play much.
Yeah. Ask Ohio State this year about what their run game looked like. You just lost two basically first round running backs to the league. That's
what they have. I'm going to trust Notre Dame to run the ball more than I'm going to trust.
That is perfectly fine, Jason. I'm just saying you don't go and replace that type of production, dude. You don't. You just don't.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they probably, as I said, I think they got better on defense as well. But look, here's the thing with Notre Dame. You're going to have to show that shit throughout the year, too. I think right now, they're pissed off and they're probably going to run through that schedule and should run through that schedule, by the way. And if they don't make it in because they lost 2 games, then they deserve that. No two ways around it. Yeah, because CJ Carr should be a legit quarterback and a legit problem for anybody. They've got good receivers. They should be able to be balanced and be able to run through that thing. They easily should be able to run through that thing. What they do, if they don't get there, then fine. I'm good with that. I think you got to win 11. When you lose SC off of a schedule that wasn't very good to begin with, you better win 11 of them. Because if not, who's your good game against? I mean, they've got what? SMU, BYU, and
that's
Miami.
it.
And Miami. Yeah.
I mean, they play 8, 7.
And how good is SMU? They're showing them ranked right now, but why?
They beat Miami last year, but yeah, you're right. Overall, but they play 7 teams that had 8 or more losses last year. I mean, it's a terrible schedule, so they need to be impressive and dominant, I think, to make the college football playoff. Guys, I have A&M in here, and I really questioning that because I think Marcel Reed and their entire season
Marcel is a question mark.
Was exposed. Their offensive line was really the key to that team, and they've lost 4 of the 5 guys, and they've kind of replaced them with cast-offs. Okay. Ryan C6568 just posted something, Jason, we may want to just veer off and talk about it just for a sec.
I just saw that too.
Yeah, so but I have A&M in there because I was struggling with another team, as you saw by me putting Texas Tech in. I'm not buying Ole Miss and LSU until I see what the hell's going on with their actual rosters and how they actually look. There's so much confusion, chaos, and changes there.
This is a way too early ranking for me. My assumption is that Chambliss is going to win whatever that court deal is. That's why I have them in that.
Yeah, though the NCAA has finally realized they need to start getting judges recused who are alums of the players filing for extra eligibility.
Listen, when they win a fucking court case,
they got the Bama judge recused finally from that decision. So they should be going after the Ole Miss judge. So, but yeah, I think until I know what's going on with Chambliss and everything else going on there, and I'm not buying that Lane can quickly turn around LSU with all of the different pieces moving around. I don't think Levitt is.
They could be good. They could be,
but I have to see something first. So that's why I ended up with Texas Tech and A&M at the end of my top 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's why that. So it looks like, guys, Heineke's had his appeal has had his initial waiver request denied and is appealing it. And that came from Jim Nagy. Just posted that. So
Yeah, I just was reading it.
and the other thing that seems to be maybe a bigger factor in all this is Heineke appears to be tearing it up at the Senior Bowl. So he's apparently having a great days at the Senior Bowl, looking great.
I've been hearing people laud about him, and Jim Nagy being one of them, obviously. But there's a lot of people saying a lot of good things about him. They like him a lot. They like all the defensive guys, especially at the Senior Bowl. They've been happy about it. I was going to ask you about what's going on. Why is R. Mason not there again? What happened there?
I think he just doesn't need to be there.
Okay.
He's right now. The last thing I saw was that Daniel
Nothing
Jeremiah
helps him. He doesn't help him to go up against these guys.
That doesn't.
Okay.
He's right now number 35 on Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, and I think he goes to the combine, does great at the combine, and moves even closer to the first round. I mean, I don't know that if you watch Nick Bonito basically having a defensive player of the year type season, how do you let the Nick Bonito 2.0 fall into the second round? I don't know how you do that. So, but the NFL will some NFL guy will find a way to convince themselves not to take R. Mason Thomas. But I think that's why he's not there. But yeah, I think overall, I think the top 10s, I think Texas at 7 is a perfectly fine spot, but everybody else will have them. They'll be preseason number 1 on a number of magazines and all that, unless this arch foot thing extends, right? This arch surgery, he misses spring for it, and people start getting a little worried about that. I don't know that it's a big issue at all, but I'm certainly not wishing injuries on guys in the offseason, and that's just bad mojo. That's just bad form. But Arch is having surgery, so if something weird happens there, who knows?
Okay.
But other than that, so you want to quickly do our SEC top 5?
Yeah, let me do that in just a second too. Real quick, so I got Michigan in the top 10 before I got some of these other ones. And for the LSU people, listen, I get it that Lane Kiffin is everybody's flavor of the month and all that. I've seen, Kyle, you've been talking about your boys at LSU a lot lately. I get it. The dude hasn't won anything. I don't get it. The dude hasn't won anything. When he does, I think that he should succeed at LSU? I do. And Seton, okay, that's cool. That's going to keep one of them upright, at least for the most part. But the rest of that offensive line kind of got a hit at LSU. They took a hit on the O-line. Look, I don't know that
they were bad at the O-line to begin with.
And all of a sudden, LSU is a national champion, like all of their freaking content creators are saying day after day after day. This glazed job of the LSU Tigers is getting old right now.
Again, if y'all are going to talk anything about championship, you need to mention the Oklahoma State Mean Orange. Stop talking about championship shit.
Well, they're building a hockey rink for him.
It's getting annoying, Jason. I'm telling you, you're cutting it close. You're cutting it close.
Yeah, that's true.
You want to pop up our SEC top 5 after Chris's second mention of the future powerhouse Oklahoma State Mean Orange?
That's something else, man.
If you take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the up.
All right, now let's move on. Let me get this other one up here. Oh man, whoa! What is this? Take this person out of there. I can't get to it quick enough. Somebody get him out of there. I don't know what's happening. That's crazy. All right. The SEC top 5, according to us. Coming in. All right, here we go. All of us got Georgia up top. Again, you guys know why I'm not picking OU over Texas right now. Not going to do it until they prove it.
Makes total sense.
I do think the reason my expectation for Ole Miss is because of Trinidad Chambliss, and I think he will be back. If he's not there, they're out of that spot. It's tentative on Alabama as well. I think that they've got as much to prove as anybody right now, and Kalen DeBoer is in a situation where he needs to find a way to win, and they better find a way to run the damn football with it. It's kind of similar to Oklahoma, but I think that he's in a precarious spot going into year 3, and if you miss the playoff again with the talent you have, and kind of making the mistake that they did with Hollywood Smothers, letting him get away to go to Texas like that, and with the same stupid shit that we saw from Dabo, not having the right paperwork signed so that he can't just leave. That was dumb. I think I think a lot of Alabama people are saying the same thing, by the way. I think a lot of them are saying the same thing. So,
wow. My turn?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, we got Georgia there. Obviously, got the boys, got the guys there at 2. I think it's a new year, new season. So, we just kind of go season after season. ATM, I ain't going to lie to you guys. I'm really scared about putting them at 3 simply because Marcel Reed, what is life like for him without Colin Klein? Like that's the interesting part. I think the short intermediary game is what really saved him. We saw him kind of take a step forward this past year, being able to hit a lot of those deep throws. But again, Concepcion, those guys aren't there. Like Shotty said in the comments, I get it. You can replace the production, but some of these guys are special, man. It's, Concepcion is, sheds one block and then goes for 60 yards. I just don't know if you have that over there. You have guys like that who could potentially mirror some of that, but I don't know if you're replicating that the whole season. So it's going to be interesting. They have a chance, but it's just like, I think the biggest knock on A&M this past season was just a simple fact. And who the hell did they play? Bama, until somebody just goes in there and just fully throttles them. I'm not talking about just a one-off like Florida State was last year. I'm talking about somebody going there and really just lay it to them, and I see them lay down a couple of games. I'm still going to put them in the top 5 in the SEC. I am really I'm going to be really interested to see who wins that QB battle. I feel like it should be the Keelan Russell kid, but they like the Mac kid, so we will see. Obviously, got to put the put Texas there at 5. They deserve to be in there.
All right, so we're all with Georgia across the board. I have OU at 2. I have Texas at 3. A&M, again, I'm like Chris. I have them here, and I'm really questioning why I did that. Because basically I can't think of any other team to put there, really. I don't like what Tennessee did. I don't like what Missouri did. Ole Miss at 5.
Missouri got Austin Simmons, but I don't think that they did much else for themselves.
Well, I think that may be a downgrade too. So we'll see how that. Well, that's true, but I don't think it's an upgrade. Really. But I got Ole Miss there with Chambliss doing some magic and playing some games and doing some stuff. But it's the 4 or 5 teams outside the top 5 are the interesting thing. Like I don't have Bama in here. I think they had a weird portal offseason, swapping pieces out. So I don't know what they did. I don't like what I see out of Bama, and the quarterback change. Maybe it's a positive. Maybe DeBoer is finally getting his guys into his system, but does that make that system just more finesse and less able to run the football?
I like Keelan Russell a lot. I'm not sure that I think that Mac is the answer, but I also think that he's probably better than what we saw at the end from Ty Simpson.
Yeah, maybe.
That being said, I think that the only way that you really
they got O-line problems. Have they fixed them?
They do. Listen, I'm with you on that. But I still think they're in the top 5.
I mean, the Proctor kid's gone, right? The center that they thought was the anchor of their line, he's gone finally, right? They added pieces, and I'm not sure what pieces they added that really improved that. I don't know. That's why I don't have Bama there. Same with LSU, and I don't know what they are. A&M, Elko seems to have things stabilized there, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time watching that game against Miami they played, where Reed looked like crap, and they were at home, and they looked bad against Texas and Austin. I'm having the bad taste of their last two losses. But, they do have a lot of returning talent. They got some good recruiting classes coming in. They picked up a good wide receiver from Alabama when they realized they weren't getting Coleman. It's the SEC could be a massive mad grab back, right? I mean, it has the potential to be even more chaotic than it was this year, especially with the balanced schedules out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with everybody now playing basically an Oklahoma or Mississippi State type schedule, things could get. I think, not in the top five, not in the top five, but I think Heupel comes out of this is the hot seat guy this offseason. I think Tennessee.
Yeah, see,
I think they're all over the place.
I don't even know why. I don't know why I missed that, but I actually had them at first written down as one of my top five. I think that Tennessee's going to be good. Bringing in, here's the deal. That's the other one that I think is going to be. We need to fix this because I would definitely have them in the top five, and I would take out Ole Miss probably over that.
Yeah, Knowles usually takes 2 to 3 years to get going, though.
That's my
and that's the question that I would have. But I do think that they can't get a lot worse. They were 14th. And in both, I
guess
I don't really see them kicking Heupel out if they don't go.
No,
all the
I
way
just think he could be.
And here's the thing:
hot
you
seat.
probably get Joey Aguilar back. They're also going to court, and they've got the guy's got a lawyer that's already beating them in court. The NCAA.
I'm gonna say
the JUCO one.
This is going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks with some of these court cases. We may have to jump on here and just kind of talk about it because, again, as we talked about it the other night on SEC Gauntlet, it's just the NCAA can't lose, they can't win, they can't lose. They just in purgatory the whole time. But I will say this, though. I was thinking about that earlier today. Isn't it interesting? You're going to have the veer and shoot and that type of defense, like, combined. It's really interesting. It's going to be the most unorthodox game. Yeah, I mean,
it definitely is.
Like, to me, it's just one of those things where it's like when you every veer and shoot team has a weird pairing. Lebby and to be honest with you, in hindsight, you could say it. Lebby was good. But it still was a weird pairing. The type of defense that Venables wants to play and everything, but with the veer and shoot, up and down the field, this and that, very particular, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Now he's went back to the 3-3-5, and you're just like, these are some really weird pairings, all over the SEC with this veer and shoot, especially there in South Carolina. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Kendall Brown, but still, I digress. I'll just say that with Tennessee, it's going to be very interesting to see how that dynamic works because I don't know. I just think that they're going to want to be in, off the field an awful lot, putting 40, 60 points on people. But I'll be honest with you, Jason, I kind of think that Aguilar is going to lose that case.
Of the cases, he has a weak. I mean, the Chambliss thing is a sham. It's
not the weakest though. It's not the weakest though. The Aguilar one or the Chambliss one?
Well, the Chambliss, I haven't. I'll profess I don't know too much about the Aguilar thing. I thought he was done and he wasn't filing an appeal.
It's a JUCO transfer. It's the exact same thing as what allowed Diego Pavia to come back.
Okay, the Chambliss thing is a sham. That's complete bullshit.
Yeah, it is like having mono or something, or not even that. I think it was like something simple, tonsillitis or something. Yeah,
it's a complete sham. Let's just call it what that's a sham. Aguilar, I haven't looked into it. I just think Tennessee is maybe. I think Missouri's in for a bad season because they lost a lot on that defense and didn't add a lot back.
Listen,
And
if Chip Lindsey scare you for OU, I don't know what to tell you anymore, bro. I think we just may be in for a bad season. Chip Lindsey. I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh.
Who? Are you saying that to me?
Yeah, Chip, because they
I'm
hired
not.
Chip Lindsey over the
No. I'm not
over
tripping
this
about
these
that.
past
No,
couple of
no. I
weeks.
think Austin. I like Austin Simmons. I think that he's good. He got hurt last year, so that's the part that.
yeah, you may
that
be
was
right. You may
not
be
about
right
him.
on that. I'm taking what got him benched and what didn't get him back in.
He's a wild
hurt.
card because that boy was throwing picks
He
very
was
quick.
also on the way to getting benched too.
Yeah, he was throwing that boy was throwing
Okay.
picks left and
Hey,
right to
fair
start the
enough.
year.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. And maybe look.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble. I think Missouri got exposed last year, right? They didn't beat
I
anybody.
agree with that.
Before we jump off of here, can we talk about one
I
of
certainly
the?
don't have Mizzou in my top 5, guys.
Oh no! I know you don't. I was just messing with you. I was saying it you was like, well, oh, you can look. I was
So
like,
we
well,
understand it's still F Mizzou. All right.
Well, before we jump off here, I just want to talk about one of the most, I think, probably the wildest. Maybe not even the wildest, but just, to me, the wildest. This is like in my top 3 wildest landing spots. Was Bo Prabilla to Virginia? Did not have that on my 2026 bingo card. I did not at all. I was
Especially when Hype wanted him. That was weird.
it was all so weird. It was all weird. I was like, I kept saying for me, I was like, yes, LSU is the sexy pick for a lot of these guys, but I was like, if they really want to go out there and show NFL scouts I could be a real quarterback, go play with Will Stein. Go play in that type of system right there and show people, hey, I can work the field. I can do this. There's going to be a lot of cash grabs
Will
out
Stein
there.
grabbed up one too, though. That's Kentucky is going to be a tougher out, I think, than people think they are.
I still think they're a year away from even that.
Probably. I think you're probably right there. Yeah. But Kenny Minchie, he's that guy had a little bit of an arm and he could run it around. That it might work out really well for them. I think they probably are a year away, as you said. I agree with that.
I just for the love of me, I'm like Bo Prabilla, Sam Levin. I'm thinking, guys, this is a place right here that you could go with Will Stein. You're not going to have too much around you, but you set yourself up to be a draft pick, whether it's round 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You set yourself up
3 straight Heisman finalists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, some wacky decisions, and I think Virginia had like another transfer quarterback, so he's like in a quarterback competition in Virginia, of all things, because I think Chandler Morris decided he wasn't going to go for his 9th year.
I was going to say, Chandler's got to be gone, doesn't he?
I mean, who knows? I mean, this Miami linebacker is back after. I mean, he signed. He was in like Bijan Robinson's recruiting class. I mean, this is just nuts.
Crazy, right?
It's great. It's great. I mean, and then you get Heineke gets denied, and you're like, oh, okay. His case is. It's a weird one because it's the two NCAA sport thing that makes it a little weird, and there's not a lot of precedent on that in terms of like ignoring a barely participating year in another sport, right? That's the weird.
Yeah, and while they're trying to move up the redshirt thing to 9 games before you can play in 9 games before you have to redshirt,
and then not calling it redshirt. And then not calling his injury year a medical redshirt year. It's a little strange, but yeah, it's messy. I mean, like I said, I think Chambliss has no business playing another year of college football, and I'm not just saying that because I don't want to see his ass again in Norman. I just think he's done. Go to the pros. This is ridiculous. And Aguilar, I don't know his case well enough to say it, but he had his. You had your year at Tennessee. You played really well. You should just be moving on, dude. At some point.
Yeah. But do you blame him for coming back when you can make some money and he's not? No,
I don't blame him. I don't blame him, but I do think it's and
I think again, Diego Pavia, there's a precedent there that you could come back. So I think that
I mean Pavia. The Pavia deal was also ridiculous, right? Making the JUCO years ineligible. That was ridiculous. in my mind. I mean, it's just silly.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it's something that's happening at this point, though.
it is. He opened Pandora's box, right? That nobody ever. I mean, on
Yeah.
the surface of it, we're like, "There's no way a judge is going to buy this." And then, like, a judge said, "Yeah," and I'm like,
Make no mistake, too. The NFL loves this. The NFL, especially the NFLPA, they love it because that gives their players that are already in the NFL another year that they you're not having guys going as much, right? It's
yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's a yeah.
early.
I just don't understand some of these guys. I don't understand why Chambliss just doesn't want to go pro, man. It's a bad draft. Go.
Yeah, well, see,
You're a
as far as
playmaker.
Chambliss is concerned, listen, I don't know why they've got him ranked around the 5th quarterback. I don't think he's the best one out there, other than maybe I think Nuss has the measurables and everything that go to still be probably. I like him probably better, but I don't know.
I think
know
he's
that I do.
salvageable. He's salvageable, right?
forgot
I
about
do. I think so
Nussmeier.
too. I think so too.
I forgot about Nussmeier all the way. Boy.
He's salvageable. I think if that because that LSU thing was just an absolute disaster. So he's salvageable. I mean, but I don't know. It baffles me that some of these guys obviously. If you're Tennessee, you're
You can make
recruiting.
the NFL. I get it. No, I get that. I think that he's at worst. Chambliss. I mean, I've seen rankings, a lot of draft rankings that show Chambliss is number 5 of quarterbacks coming out, and I think that's
He's 2
asinine.
if I was choosing a playmaker, he's number 2.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean it's
Easy.
I mean who are you going to drive? I mean Nuss. You
Look,
need to.
the guy reminds you of like what Russell Wilson was doing at the start of his career, where you can't get your hands on him, and he's going to find somebody open.
I don't understand why he's not betting on his game and going to the pros rather than being stuck. I mean, we all know that Arch probably will have a good statistical season. Maybe he'll have a great one, but a good one is probably fairly in the cards, and he'll be drafted number 1 off that.
Easy.
Right. I mean, no one's going to ignore. No NFL GM is going to pass on drafting the Manning. Right.
Manning. He could have a half-ass season and go number 1 if he comes out.
Yeah, but I think he'll probably have a good season based upon the additions they've added and some other stuff. But yeah, it's a mess. But it's if you're. I'm just shocked that no NFL franchises have reached out to Chambliss and say, why are you dicking around with going back to Ole Miss? We will draft you in the top 10 picks, guaranteed. Get in the damn draft. Mm-hmm. Like they would do in basketball, where they guarantee those kids, right? Like, you're not getting out of the lottery. We're drafting you out of the lottery. You see all the NFL teams that desperately need QB help, and this kid's going to go back and play college football for another year. It's bizarre. I mean, you wouldn't.
What do you think? Do you think? I mean, somebody just said.
I mean, Tyler Shuck is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I know, dude. I know. Don't. Yeah, that's wild shit, bro. This is crazy talk. But like, what about? What was it? There was one I just read, and it was making me. Ty Simpson, whatever. Yeah, guys. Again, this is not a hot draft class. Do you think? What about Diego Pavia? Is there a chance that I think he may be playing himself into it. He's saying the right things, but I think, what do you think he does at the next level? Do you think that Kchris, you got to answer this one. I like Diego. I think he's a baller, man. I don't love his arm. I don't love his arm. I'll say that, but I think he's a winner.
Yeah, but
I don't know what it is as a quarterback. He might even play as like a receiver, do the Edelman thing.
Can he? I mean, he measured 5'9" and 7/8.
Yeah. He's not going to play quarterback, I don't think.
I mean, and a big part of his game was his running game, right? Yeah. At that size, he'll get obliterated at the NFL. I mean,
as a quarterback, correct?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, he's got he talks a big game and he's backed it up for the most part. But
I like the dude, man. I'm not a hater on Diego. I love him.
I I just think he's, his desire to just stay at Vandy and that whole JUCO thing just opened Pandora's box and was kind of like, and the judge was like, and the judge, and I'm like, all right, dude, what are you
If
doing?
it wasn't him, it was going to be somebody, though.
Well, maybe, but I do think he kind of kicked over this notion
I
a little
don't
bit
care.
more.
That's what he's been doing, is kicking over Hornets' nest his entire career.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I mean,
He wasn't supposed to get to that point. So
yeah, I mean,
it kind of is
we'll
what it
see.
is.
We'll see. I mean, I'm going to be more interested to see what happens to Vandy this season without him, without Eli Stowers, without a lot of the kids that they lost a lot of talent in the portal. They got some good guys in, but they lost some of their glue guys, and they lost some O line. They got to rebuild that O line, and it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see where what happens to them this year. Because that's a wild card, right? If it's somehow, because if Jared Curtis, he's enrolled early, he's there. If he somehow takes over and somehow just and has one of those freshman QB years where we're like, how is this kid playing this well? Then all of a sudden maybe they can sustain this momentum. If he hits the freshman
Somebody
wall,
better, because they didn't really hit the portal, did they?
no, because if he struggles, hits the freshman wall, then they could drop. They could
It can be hard. It can be tough on them.
hard.
Now they've definitely added some talent comparative to what they've been in the past, but
Yeah.
I don't think they fall all the way off. But I think you better win pretty quick, though.
Yeah, I mean, you need to just
You better
make.
not fall. You better not fall too far, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because then it's just then the negativity. Well, it's like, without Pavia, they're just old Vandy again, and that message can ring true in high school recruiting to a certain degree. Um, um, yeah, that's why I just don't understand why Chambliss's folks didn't direct him to the NFL instead of doing this thing with Ole Miss. I mean, they can't be funneling that much money to him. It can't be worth that much money. I mean, delaying your second NFL quarterback,
You never know.
delaying that second NFL QB contract, that's a expensive decision, potentially.
It could be, and especially when I think that he's a guy that can stick in the NFL. I think he's got the tools to do that. I tend to agree
I
that
mean, it's not getting any younger.
it may be an emotional decision instead of a financial one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but overall, it's the SEC has never been as wide open as it is after you get beyond Georgia, who's the most stable program left in the SEC, right? We're pushing for that level of stability, right? OU is, but we're not there yet. If we could bank another 10-2 kind of playoff season, then we're rising up to that, right? But as you said, Texas is throwing all their chips in for the last Arch season, and that could be great, or it could flame out on them. And then you've got who knows where Alabama's going. They've lost, and you've got LSU and Ole Miss just turned. Two programs completely turned over. You got Florida. I mean, there's so many new coaches. It's messy, right? What is Florida going to be? I don't think any of us have any idea about that. What does Kentucky look like? Will Stein will get somebody this year, right? I think he'll get somebody. But it's just the SEC from top to bottom has never been more sort of chaotic. And there's less terra firma around the various teams. UGA is the only team really that's kind of got that terra firma. If OU can fix their offense, I think we're right there. But, if ifs and answer, all that. Yeah. I mean, that's where we are. But I think Texas, again, if they had kept Katowski and brought in this talent base, I would be like, all right, okay, I can see it. But this D coordinator thing, I'm probably wrong on this, but I think this must change. Well, I mean, that's fine. It's not a problem.
And I get it. I get what you're saying. I just think, and I'm the first one to say, the problem wasn't on the defensive side of the ball,
right? So you're messing with something that didn't need to be messed with, right?
You're fixing something that wasn't the problem.
But
that's because,
okay. Y'all, that was okay. I mean, honest with you, it just seemed like it was kind of a personal preference to me. That's mostly what that was. PK wasn't an issue. Sark has his faults, PK had his faults, all the rest of that stuff. But that seemed like there was a bowling point that had been reached, and there was a decision that was made, and it was made.
No doubt.
Surprisingly, to everybody on the outside looking in, and I think to some Texas fans, but seemed like a personal preference to me.
No doubt.
Yeah, but it was just weird though. It was a weird, like you said, it was a weird decision, and I think they're disrupting something that didn't need to be disrupted, and their defense was really holding their water the last 2 years. Let's just call it a fact.
No doubt. I think
PK's defense got them into the playoffs last year. In 2024, and really kept them in games last year when Sark and the offense were rudderless. Certainly kept them in the game in Ohio State and elsewhere. But they're an interesting team, Texas. If you try and be as objective as you can as an OU fan about them, right?
Yeah.
They're an interesting, they're an interesting team in terms of what they did in this offseason was was a radical shift from what they've been doing previously. They said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to just accumulate talent and stack talent. We're going to do something different. And we'll see if it works. With a 14, 15 game season, if they're trying to achieve their goals, and a reduced roster doesn't seem to add up to me. But we'll see if that gamble pays off for them.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. But
so Jason Kchris, is there one SEC team you think is just going to blow out expectations?
As far as like go way better than what we think they are?
Yeah, better than walking in like, okay.
I'll tell you who could. I'll tell you who could. Oh, man, I hate to say this because I don't know that I really believe it.
Say it.
Listen, South Carolina. Because of the quarterback and Kendall Briles. I think that they've got a guy that actually knows offense so they can put some points on the board. Do I think that really is going to equate to much? Probably not. But it's an even year. On even years, they seem to go 9-3.
Now, we all can agree on this right here. That offensive line, no matter what the hell they did, that shit is terrible.
They definitely had to get much better on the O-line, and I don't know that they did that.
Yeah, and that's
here's what they had to do, though. They got to do something with that offense to not get his ass kicked all damn season.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're going to be able to protect him for him to make those decisions that he has to make in that veer and shoot.
But Kendall can put something together to get the ball out fast. We're going to protect him in that way.
I mean, be honest with you.
Let's be real. See that running that slow ass play action shit that they were doing.
The X factor for them is honestly Gibson. I think if Gibson is healthy and Gibson is focused and ready to play ball, he gives them a better down the field threat. Down the field, better deep threat, better wide receiver than what they have in Harbor. I think Harbor is a great athlete, he's an elite athlete, but I think that Gibson is a guy who has the potential to be to play like a first round draft pick, no doubt. So I think that he can change that. My uncle talked about that. He said, "Hey, South Carolina could be a team that is scary to play if Gibson is able to get it on, and that way he opens up channels for Harbor on the other side, right?" But if it was the fifth, we all be drunk. We know their defense is going to be pretty good or whatever, but I think teams were able to handle that this year.
Everyone, I would think. Yeah, I don't know, man. You asked if there's anybody that could.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. They just have their woes. There's not really another team that I could sit here and say, yeah, I think
maybe Florida because of who their coaching staff and what they're doing. Their quarterback situation being what you got Jaden Barr coming back. You got your best. I think 5 of your best players are coming back. Mm-hmm. If they're coached better, maybe they're a better team. I don't know what I think about this quarterback, but I like their offensive coordinator situation a lot better than I like a lot of teams.
Yeah, Faulkner. We'll see how well Faulkner. We'll see how well he does away from Brent Key. Right. We'll see if that was like a perfect setup and that made him and that helped him. I mean, what I'm just saying? It's gonna be Brent Key is the offensive line guy. He's the offensive guy at Georgia Tech a little bit. So we'll see. But I think you're right on Faulkner and Florida. The quarterback they got from Georgia Tech is interesting. He doesn't have a lot of experience, though. Yeah, I think you're the wild card team for me, obviously, and I think you are both right that you're a year away. But I think Will Stein's going to blow up some big time team's lunch.
Absolutely could. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. The other one I would say is, and this is out there. I think they're a year away. Kamario Taylor is a bad dude, and this is a 6'5" kid with wheels that can throw it. That offense, if they went back and got their former head coach back to come be the defensive coordinator, he's the best defensive coordinator they've had in a long time. If they play pretty good defense, they might be a pain in the ass for everybody.
That kid in the
they went and added Kendall Dobie. That kid in
the bowl game. That kid in the bowl game. It was a little. I mean, he was so raw. It was like feast or famine. But like the feast moments, you were like, "Holy crap!"
Bro,
But the famine moments were there too. So it'll be interesting.
But it was his first start.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, right? You got to judge him on that. But if he can hit that feast, they can get those feast moments going.
He's a stud, man. He's a stud. No doubt about it.
They could put up a lot of points on folks. And
do you believe in Mississippi State? I don't know. But
no, I'm not sure.
I think that they've been busy in the portal. I think that he's definitely better than Blake Shapen. And they had moments where they almost won some big games last year. They got to stop somebody. They got to be able to stop somebody. I think that's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah, but that quarterback, if he puts it all together, right, and Lebby,
he's unreal good.
And Lebby's able to develop him, then yeah, he's got some. He has some elite.
Same with Deuce Knight at Ole Miss. I mean, or anywhere he plays. I think Deuce Knight has all kinds of skills too. But
yeah,
he's not as big. He's not as big, and
yeah,
Kamaro's 6'5", man, and has wheels and an arm.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. You saw those highlight moments, but I think that's where I am. But it's the SEC is. I mean, we're going to play so many of our ex-players. It's just so odd, including.
You've got Isaiah Dent there, Zion Reagan's there.
Well, we're playing. I mean, everybody's got like an ex-Sooner. It's like, okay, we're playing ex-Sooners here, there, and everywhere. And then we're going to be playing the New Michigan's new safety. When we go up to Ann Arbor,
Devontae Barnes and Nick in the Kentucky game.
Exactly. It's crazy. So that's the portal. That's been the bizarre thing about the portal is where our kids have landed kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
At better places, I thought that some kids landing at better places than I thought. Hey, Chick-fil-A, Mekhi Rhodes is apparently on some West Coast show, and they're dragging their ass until the end of it to have his commitment. So he hasn't committed yet.
Okay.
So Michael Rhodes, we got and Sooner Twitter is in flames over the Heineke decision. Everyone's in meltdown mode. It's just, it's pretty ugly to see.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And I don't know. I mean, does he come back anyway? I mean, with the way that he's showing at the Senior Bowl, do you come back? I mean, you just talked about the same thing with these quarterbacks. I mean, as long as he can get a quick. What's his grade got to be for him to?
Yeah, well, I mean, if Nagy can get him a realistic grade, But I think the way he's going, I mean, at a certain point, I'm like, okay.
He just committed, is what T Boomer says.
Oh, he did. Okay, well, T Boomer always beats me to commitment news, and he's right. He just committed.
Man, he's on it.
He's always beaten me to this. Jason. He's on our recruiting show. He's always like, Chris and I are ready to wrap up, and T Boomer walks in with some recruiting bombshell for us.
He's the man. T Boomer's our guy. Man.
He's a great guy. So they got he's ranked as high as the number one running back in the country in 2028. No lower than 3, according to the services. Top 40 player in the nation. OU offered him as a freshman. This is a big win for DeMarco Murray. Big win for OU. He's high school teammates with Cortland Guillory. So this is a big Houston pickup. And OU doesn't always pick up Houston kids. So this is a big pickup for OU from that perspective. And we'll be talking about it on our Monday recruiting live stream that I'll be doing with Chris. And I'll be posting a recruiting podcast tomorrow. I was waiting on this news, so I'll post this tomorrow and cover a bunch of other stuff because there's all kinds of other high school recruiting stuff flying around. So OU's got commits. They just got Micah Rhodes, Chris. So we got a fancy new commitment to talk about on Monday.
Yeah, no, I heard you guys.
Is Nightcap Unfair Sports News Show there, Jay? Is that coming up now? If so, make sure you guys get over there and check that out with Jay.
Yep. It's a big commitment. So, and Nagy let it slip. I'll give one piece of recruiting thing away. If you watch the Nagy interview, he let it slip that OU's sitting on another 2028 commitment. He said in that interview, well, we got one kid committed for 2028. They don't have anybody publicly committed. So they've got Micah Rhodes and somebody else already committed for 2028. So OU has 2 commits for 2028. Who knows when the other kid will go public?
Okay. Cool stuff.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate everybody coming in. See you all in the next one.